Hey, hey, Lisa Joy is here. Don't forget, check out Luna Evening Star Boutique on Etsy. Luna Evening Star. I love these, I love these, I love these. But just wanted to jump on again and kind of go more in detail the about reality TV and just where we're at. I mentioned this before. I really feel like we're coming to a close because everything is so repetitive. And at this point, it's like, what else is next? And it doesn't leave anything to the imagination anymore. We're at a point where we can predict what's gonna happen next. Like if somebody predicted Yandy and Rashida, yeah, yeah, you know, we're going to deflect. Now we're going to move on to them because we've had our time in the light. Now it's time to move on to them, right? It's whack. Spice and Bambi, Love Hip Hop, Atlanta, talking about all of them. Spice and Bambi, same thing. It's predictable. Spice been having an issue with Bambi since the Erica Mena thing, my opinion, right? And it's tired. She wanted to ride with her when for me, both Spice and Erica was wrong. That's just how I feel. They were wrong. I'm a Jersey girl. Because I'm a Jersey girl, it's, there's some lines that's told. I don't even want to get into that too much, but some lines that's told in regards to the Hispanic community and Black people um, up in the Jersey, New York area, right? We're in a different space. So because we're in a different space, things are not as acceptable as they once were, but we're not going to act like things weren't once acceptable in certain cultures and certain things that was going on. I just recently looked at a show and I can't even think of the name of it. And the things that they were talking about, um, Two and a Half Men, and the things they were talking about, they wouldn't be able to get away with that now. Other shows, same thing. They wouldn't be able to get away with that now. Um, Movies, when they're showing movies from the 70s and 80s and early 90s, as far as harassment, things of that nature that we've always known was wrong, but the reality is you were able to toe those lines in those decades. Hopefully you guys are following me. And so for me, the same rules apply to once upon a time. It was acceptable for the Black culture, Hispanic culture, because they came together. They truly did come together, depending on what country they came from. I'm gonna make that real clear. I'm not gonna drop the names of those countries right now, but there was a unity amongst them all. Okay, where I came from in Jersey. Okay, growing up in the 80s and 90s, right? So because of that, there was um, certain things that were said. It was okay. It was acceptable, right? That's not where we are now. So for that reason, Erica, you 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 should be aware of that. Okay. However, the two can exist. Spice was wrong too. Spice is not Spice is not a good person in my eyes. Spice is very vengeful and she's very spoiled and she's very entitled. Again, this is my opinion. And so is Erica. So when you have those two, they collide. They're gonna say a whole bunch of nasty stuff, and they're both gonna want to fight. When you get to a place where you can't use your words anymore, you don't know how to use your words, you can't articulate those words, you don't know where to pull those words from. The next thing you feel powerless. So the next thing you're ready to do is throw hands. Makes sense, right? Okay, for them. Okay. So again, it's very predictable. So ever since then, for me, Spice has had an issue with Bambi. We fast forward, and we have uh, Housewives and Atlanta Housewives, and we go from Love and Hip Hop to Atlanta Housewives, both Atlanta, and the whole thing with Kendra and what is her name, Britt. Both things can exist at the same time with them both being wrong. Britt was wrong, and it was wrong for production to not hold her accountable in any way. Kenya did not create that mess by herself. However, because of where we are now, where we've been for a long time, the things that you once got away with doing wrong, the wrong acts you got away with once upon a time, you can no longer get away with them today, depending on who you are. Depending on who you are. And because Kenya, at the end of the day, is gorgeous, as decorated as she is, she's still a permanent tan, gorgeous woman. That's just the reality. And I'm not too sure if her and Andy were on the odds or production or what was going on, because it made no sense, especially with the length of time. She's a veteran, and she has brought in the stats for the show. So to not hold Britt accountable for her threat is beyond me. It doesn't matter that she didn't mean it. It does not matter. There would be no way whatsoever that Porsha could say to Erica from Beverly Hills Housewives, she's going to grab something. Let me go to my trunk. There would be no way that Kendra could say to Kyle from Beverly Hills, I'm about to run to my trunk. There would be no way Cynthia would be able to say to Dorit, excuse me, same place, Beverly Hills. Hold up right there. I'll be right back. Let me go to my glove compartment. Or let me go to my trunk. There would be no way whatsoever that she would be able to do that. Okay? Any of them. So, again, what you weren't allowed to do once upon a time, you still can't, but it's even more so depending on who you are. And we're not going to act like that's not a factor, because it is. And when it comes to crimes or alleged crimes towards us one-to-one, it doesn't hold the same weight. It just doesn't. Sorry about that, guys. My dog, something done set her off. She hears dogs walk past and just, I don't even bother to tell her to stop anymore. I don't. She usually just stop on her own. So, yeah, it's like they're all becoming predictable. Now, the one thing that is predictable, but yet still is very sad with Atlanta Housewives, is Porsha and Shamea, because we know for a fact the amount of years that we've seen Shamea ride for Porsha. So for Porsha to just move in the manner that she's moving in, and they're trying to set up the scenario, and you could see it. You could see how the scenario is being set up from the first conversation of her and her mother, and bringing it to her attention, somebody saying something about, that's what you're supposed to do as friends. You're supposed to bring it to your friends' attention. You're not supposed to allow them just walk in and see. But, we're going to let it play out, right? But we already know where it's going. Porsha issue stems further back and has little to do with Shamea. Shamea is just catching the backlash because Shamea is winning, her perception of winning. You understand what I'm saying? The reason why I say perception of winning, because people always view women as women winning based upon their relationship status. I don't see that as such. If you do have a healthy, happy relationship, of course, kudos, right? I understand. Kudos. As someone who is married, yes. Yay. Rah, sis kumbah for a healthy, happy relationship. However, that's not the only thing that's going on out here and should be going on for yourself. But I understand because I went through that as a mother, being a mother, um, and now grandmother, right? I've been a grandmother for some years. I have gone through the identity of mother, 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 and who am I? And I for a long time, I put the only focus there, my only focus there. Even going to school, I still viewed my accomplishments with how my kids were showing up in the world, as far as taking care of themselves, presenting themselves, this and that and the other. So if you take that in consideration with the ideology of, being a wife and everything else, I get it. But you also have to recognize there's more to you, Portia, and any other female that feels that way than just being a wife, than just being a mother. Not that these things, not that they're minimized. No way, no way, no how, okay? But you still have your identity, and Shamia has a lot going on for her. A lot going on for her outside of being married. But I believe Portia's thing is you have the man, you have the mansion, the castle, the white picket fence, that whole storyline. And for those women who aspire to that, just have your intentions good. There's nothing wrong with wanting that that storybook. Just know that it's not real for everyone, and it's not perfect. There's no such thing. Be worried if you come across someone who's perfect, okay? Be worried, be very worried. But also have something going on for yourself. Portia needs to just focus on her. Point blank, period. Portia needs to focus on her and not so much on this husband, this picture perfect husband, and this lifestyle, because then that doesn't even seem like you want these things for the right reason. Okay, I love mine because we're one, we're a unit, we're a team. But I love mine because of those things that I said, and not for the things that they could possibly bring to me, this and that and the other, because it means nothing if they're not attached to these things. Does that, hopefully that makes sense and you're able to follow me there. So Portia needs to just work on self, and that's what you're supposed to be doing. But that saying, you lose them how you get them, and pay attention to how you get them, it rings true. It really does. It really does. So now I'm going to transition into Married to Medicine, okay? And like I said, these ladies have such an issue with Quad, and their issue has been, in my eyes, from what I've seen, is how does Quad make the things happen for herself when she hasn't had a lasting husband? And again, we want to put too much attachment on our partner. Our partners are supposed to bring out the best in us and vice versa, but your existence should not be your partner. It should not. That does not work. That's how codependency happens and everything else. Conversation for another time. So their issue for me, and I might be jumping ahead, has been that them feeling like, how could she pull off the things she pulls off without a man? And how could she had been happy until King? But if she did not find peace within herself, she wouldn't be able to allow King to be in her life in a healthy way and show up to him in a healthy way. We have to take care of self first. That's why and half of them are not in a happy, healthy marriage. Only people I believe that are in a reasonable, happy, healthy marriage, I'm going to say, is Toya. As much as y'all, I hear it all the time. There's bloggers up here that I follow that I enjoy, and it's the same comments all the time. And I see it on all the social media platforms, right? And There are so many of you that can't stand the way that Toya plays and talks to her man, but the reality is, I think it works for them. I think their banter works for them. It doesn't mean dysfunctional. I worry about the ones that don't say anything and make it seem like it's all sunshine, rainbows, peaches and cobbler. Peaches and cobbler, okay? I worry about those couples. Them, I have no concerns about them. I just don't. I think, opposites attract. He's more an quiet, reserved type. And Toya is Toya. That's just that. I have no concerns about them. And, you know, back over to Simone and her issue with Quad. I think it's jealousy, and I think it's, you felt betrayed, and you put betrayal in your head. You allowed that word to just sit in your head and manifest, and allow you to just move in a way that's so nasty and shisty, and you acknowledged it. And for that, I would never trust you. You guys can apologize to each other, but you guys will never be the same. You guys will never be okay, and that's all right too. That's okay. But you guys won't be the same, and you shouldn't be. You're good for letting Dr. Jackie be your doctor. I wouldn't, but bless up. I hope everything works out well, and I hope you get what you want, okay? Healthy, happy pregnancy. That's it. Point blank, period. Okay? Bless up. As far as Sweet Tea, gosh, and Dr. Gregory, Sweet Tea, he has shown all of us all that we needed to know. I knew what I knew from Quad. I did not think Quad was lying or exaggerating, but there's something that will always be. I'm a 70s baby, and there's something that will always be, and it remains no matter what. Society, even your family and friends, do not care about DV. They just don't. They just don't. People feel like, why leave a man that has prestige, alleged prestige and money and value, all these things, and that and the other? Just chalk it up and deal with it, or do better, say less, sit up straight, don't give them a reason. It's weird to me, but I can see it, and I believe this is the ideology for a lot of those women that was there, that was on that stage. And a lot of the women out in our society, men too, so no one actually cared what Quad went through, because if they did, he wouldn't have been back on the show. He wouldn't have been back on the show. But outside of being spiteful towards her, you either didn't believe her, or you just simply didn't care. You just simply didn't care. And you chose not to believe her and not care because you was upset with her. Simone is not to be trusted. No. Simone is not to be trusted in any way, shape, or form. No, ma'am. She is not to be trusted. Don't do it, guys. Don't trust her for nothing. Heavenly, you better watch yourself, because she still don't like you. She does little niceties, and you don't like her either. So never mind. You don't need me to tell you to watch it back. You can handle Simone. But Sweet Tea, baby, this ain't it. And I probably had the unpopular opinion about Quad throwing it back in her face, her infertility. I'm going to tell you why. Because Sweet Tea, threw out the first jab by reaching out to him and saying, hey, I'll give you a baby. I'll be the one to give you a baby. I'll be a better wife than Quad. Quad should have never came out. Quad's name should have never came out her mouth. When you are trying to hook up with somebody, sliding in, trying to be whoever you trying to be to them, they were already divorced. It was done and over with. They had been divorced for a few years. Unless I'm missing something. They have been divorced for a few years. Quad's name and whatever they went through within their marriage, and Quad's fertility issues, possibly, maybe, or maybe not. Maybe they just were not the pairing. So it's not going to come together if it's not supposed to come together. It could have just been as simple as that. Everything is not always science. And I'm a big believer in energy and everything else. And science is included in that, you know. So, sweetie, it's just not it. And Quad wasn't trying to insult you, and you threw an insult at her. And she threw one back at you. And what we have to remember, even with Heavenly, even though we don't like her saying, your mama, your mama, your mama, I don't either. Because, see, we would have a problem. We would have a big problem. I don't do that. I don't, family off limits. Keep it here with me. You can insult me all day. However, if you don't want them type of problems, don't meet her there. That's as simple as that, because she doesn't have the capacity to argue in a way or conflict in a way to not throw grenades. So you either going to have to meet her where she is or don't engage. One or the other. There's no in between with Heavenly. And for me, Quad and Sweet Tea, same thing. Do not engage, because chances are y'all are both going to go real low. And we don't get to determine how low somebody's supposed to go when their feelings are hurt. When people feelings are hurt, they go to whatever extremes. I don't have to meet you where you are when you hurt me. If you're here and you have me here, and then I decide to come in and I take it here, I feel justified in that. I feel justified because my goal is to bring you down to here. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I'm saying, well, if we don't want this, don't engage. Don't do it. Because you don't know the reaction you're going to get from people. That's just the reality. So we can't always say you went too far, because somebody could say, what does that mean? What is too far? So I'm gonna leave it there, guys. I'm gonna leave it there. And yeah, that's how I feel about these reality shows. Are we coming to an end? What we gonna do? Should we give it to Tubi? I don't know. I've been binge watching a lot of old shows, so I don't know. And I'm got my hands in all these different things anyway, trying to make sure me and mine stay afloat with all the craziness out here in the world. So, Lunar Evening Star on Etsy, please check us out. Chakra. Look at that. Lunar Evening Star, guys. And I hope you enjoyed that. Bless up.